everyone. Welcome back to Message in a Bottle. My name is Paloma.
I'm Pilar.
So happy to be back with you all. This is our second installment, second episode that we're bringing to you today. And yeah, because we're a new podcast, want to share a little bit again about kind of what brought us here and what you can expect to hear on our channel. We're two sisters and best friends, and for a long time, we've lived really far apart from each other and have always figured out different ways to continue to stay in touch with each other. And I'm trying to figure out when this exactly happened, but I think it was maybe 2-3 years ago. We started sending a lot of voice notes to each other on WhatsApp. And at some point, we started calling them a message in a bottle because it was just capturing those little moments throughout life as we were living super distinct lives, super far away from each other, that you're just like, I just need someone to hear about this and someone that can relate to me and just maybe have a little laugh because I'm seeing something really absurd, or someone who can just, you can just rant to someone, but you also know that there's going to be, that someone's ears are going to be on it. And yeah, just that feeling of getting those thoughts out there into the world and not always necessitating a response, but having there be a bit of reciprocal nature to that. So that's a little bit how this came about.
Totally. And shout out WhatsApp for having the best voice note game. Love that. You can send it like a 10-minute voice note, 5-minute message in a bottle, 2 minutes. We love that. Another reason why we decided to call this project Message in a Bottle is because when you put yourself out there into the ether of the vastness of the internet, it kind of also feels like a message in a bottle. We don't know whose ears this message is going to reach, but this is like kind of us putting ourselves out there, a message in a bottle to the internet, and who knows who's going to pick that up and enjoy the message, relate to it, maybe hate it, maybe, but, get something from it. So that is a little bit about that.
Yeah, and so what you can expect from us is essentially what we're attempting to do in some way, shape, or form is open up our messages in a bottle that the things that we were sharing to one another, to the internet, to whoever is ready and willing to listen. That's kind of what started this. And so it's going to include a little bit of like our current musings that we're each week as we kind of record these episodes, what we've been thinking about, the things that are inspiring us. And then we always want to leave our audience with a little recommendation of something we think might be interesting for you to go out there and listen to, watch, experience, gander into, etc.
Totally. So how's your week been so far, Teach?
Well, it's been really interesting because it dawned on me the other day that I have officially surpassed my 1 year living in New York City.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Congrats. How does it feel?
It's really weird, especially because essentially I moved here without any idea that I was gonna like live here. The idea when I first came here was like, I'm just gonna like go check it out, make some money, and then maybe move on. And so I didn't accept the fact that I like lived here until like 3 months ago. So I'm like still like, oh, I'm so new. And then in reality, I'm like, oh no, I just on the 21st, I had my 1 year anniversary. So here we are.
Wow, that's crazy. What is living in New York like? What is your super high level? What is the vibe?
It's the best and the worst. It's the cleanest and it's the dirtiest. It's the most like, it's the epicenter of culture and it's also the demise of culture. It is like capitalism at its finest, but also like creativity at its finest. It's the hottest. It's the coldest. Like when people like have asked me if I like living here, my response is I love it because it is a little bit of everything, but it's also I think people who thrive living here are folks that figure out a lifestyle in which the ratio of the terrible, annoying, really like intense things doesn't, like, the amazing things outweigh those things essentially. So
it's
that's
the
life here.
extremes. It's like so many extremes. Everything's like super, it's just like kind of intense, but which makes it really sick too, but then makes it like challenging. It's like very, very stimulating.
And it's to me, that's what's infectious about it, but it's also what is very much like overwhelming to me, and I've had to navigate in my lifestyle here how often I'm willing and ready to like partake in that. And it's like sometimes I have to do things, right, for work or for social plans or to buy my groceries. Like those things are non-negotiable, right? So then when it comes to something that you have the option to say yes or no, sometimes you're just like, I cannot go there. Like that is like, I can't go somewhere that's going to take me an hour and 20 minutes on 3 different trains 2 days in a row. You're like, no, that's just my soul can't take it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very intense. Well, 1 year. We'll see what happens next.
1 year. Yes. More to
It's
come
crazy,
for sure on
but
that.
very, very exciting. I look forward to visiting you at some point.
Yes. Again, I've been here once, but yeah, more to come.
Yes, one more time when the airports aren't crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. How has your week been?
It's been chill. My March Madness bracket is doing well. I'm doing for the first time ever, I'm doing like a little March Madness bracket with like 30 people at work, and I'm in second place. So
Crushing
I'm enjoying
it.
that, but like there's a bunch of games this weekend. So like I'm enjoying being in the top because like I could fall or whatever. I don't exactly fully you know, like we'll just anything could happen. That's what's fun, I think, about live sports. That's what I've enjoyed about sports is just any given day, an underdog could, take on a team that's higher ranked or whatever. And that's like, I guess what's exciting about it. So that's cute. And then I've just been kind of on a little journey of lessening the plastics in our home. I've already
almost
been on
an impossible task to eliminate it completely.
No, literally. It's kind of, it feels daunting and almost like, yeah, like a drop in the bucket. But and I've already been kind of on this journey, like kind of a hippie, kind of like try to be like a bit more natural and whatnot, but there's still other places. So I've actually kind of really enjoyed having a wooden toothbrush. It's like the user experience is nice. And then I got like a wooden dish brush with like natural fibers, and both of those I actually kind of feel like it feels like less toy to use. Like kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of like loving the physical, like tactile user experience of these little things, apart from like theoretically hopefully not getting like microplastics in more microplastics in my body.
Like, is that a placebo effect, or are you genuinely like your body is having some sort of like sensational like reconnection with nature because we're so disconnected from nature that you're like, wow, I'm like in the woods now.
I'm just like so natty with my wooden toothbrush. I feel so good. Yeah, hard to say, but yeah, that's the big excitement around here.
Love it. Well, for what it's worth, I love being like sustainably minded, and living in New York has been incredibly difficult to do so from a price perspective, from like just to like I've moved around a lot. Anyway, it's a journey always, and a worthwhile one, but I think certain lifestyles make it easier than others. I was like, I want to go to the bulk store. But I'm like, what am I going to do? Take my refillable jars in a backpack and like go trudge somewhere?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I'm like, I kind of want to do that in a car.
Right. Yeah, all of it, because we're like our society, like life is plastic. It's fantastic. Like everything is plastics, and like it's so hard to get away from, like all of our food, like just everything. So it takes a huge effort to like go against the grain and like go out of your way to to try to mitigate your exposure.
Yes, no doubt about it. But again, a valiant effort. And yeah, if you ever need more recs, we can talk about it. I love to talk nerdy sustainability things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What have you been musing on this week? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I went on a deep dive of Young Miko. Do you know who she is?
No.
Oh my, okay, you totally do. You totally do know who she is. I feel like it's almost like I thought you would be like, oh my God, of course you're gonna bring her up because she's been like in the sphere like a lot. She is a Puerto Rican rapper, and performer. Yes, she's a baddie basically, and she's kind of like, I would say, the latest in the string of like Latino artists who are really coming into the mainstream American, like, what do you call it, media recognition perspective. So yeah, so she's from Puerto Rico. She's kind of a rapper. She's done some reggaeton. She's done a bunch of songs like with, she opened for Karol G, I believe.
Okay.
When she was, I think it was at either Lollapalooza or at Coachella, at like one of the big festivals. And the kind of reason that she's even like in the last few weeks has been really in the news a lot and in the media rather is because of a campaign that she did with Gap.
Okay.
Which is then that piece brought me down this whole interesting rabbit hole of Gap's like recent brand marketing and basically they shot a full length, full scoped like music video in their sweatsuits.
Yes.
And it's like they've done a bunch of those. They did one with Jungle and they did one with a couple other like young artists.
The women's group Cat's Eye. That's like was on my radar as a successful
campaign. Did like a denim. Exactly. It was all of these have seemingly been very, very successful and have, I think, kind of broken a little bit of the norm of like kind of more like traditional marketing from those like I would call them like staple fashion brands in the US. And now they're becoming part of the like the young fun rhetoric and I don't know. So I don't know. It's basically it's just I've gone on this full interesting journey of thinking about Young Miko, and I actually listened to a podcast that she did an episode that she did where she was interviewed by the folks at the Nude Project podcast. Wow, that's hard to say. The Nude Project podcast, which is a Spanish produced podcast. So she's Puerto Rican, so in that like podcast she speaks in Spanish, so I like wanted to get to know that part of her personality, and then I've like listened to some of her interviews that she's done in English as well because she's bilingual. And yeah, she's just a really fascinating artist and I think is worth talking about in a lot of ways. She's openly queer. She's like a former tattoo artist. And I think what I've also found interesting is that the formula that she's kind of following is very mask in a lot of ways. She is like her sense of personal style is very mask, a little bit akin to like a Billie Eilish, like really like gaudy, like ornate, like graphic tees, oversized, those like really wide legged shorts, like big chunky sneakers kind of vibe. And then I noticed in one of her music videos, she's very much plays the typical role of this kind of like what you would usually see in a heterosexual like setting where she's like the hot guy and there's this like stripper setup. So she's like the spectator and the stripper comes in and the stripper is like on a pole and she like throws a bunch of money out and like it flies everywhere. And it's this, again, a very traditionally like man with woman sexual dynamic, but she is the star and she is playing this man, but very much still being like, I'm a woman and I'm a lesbian. And it's very, I don't know, I find it to be really interesting that the formula is the same, but it's happening with this like queer overlay. And yeah, she's a very calm person, and I've been finding it really interesting in general to do deep dives on a lot of musicians and celebrities who are from Latin America. And I find like a general sense of humility that I don't see as much from American born artists.
Interesting.
And yeah, so anyway, I'll open it up to that and see what your thoughts are, because we could go many directions with this, but that's been kind of what I've been musing a bunch about in the last few days in particular.
Do you enjoy the music?
It's fine. I think if I was 21 again and I was partying a lot with my friends and I was just in that mindset that I was when I was that age, I think I would love it. I think it's definitely that music that kind of like gets the party going. It's like
party music.
Yeah, it's definitely party music. It's rap.
Okay.
And it's very catchy. Like it's like the stuff you would hear, in a club, in a dark setting when they're like bumping.
Okay, that's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how her career evolves, like if she'll have these different eras in the same light of like Bad Bunny, Rosalia, like, going like she's kind of in her like maybe street style rapper kind of era, like maybe things will change and evolve as she grows and whatnot. Or, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully there is lasting power because also, you know, a lot of artists like have a ton of success and then, you know, it's hard to keep it going. But I think, generally it's really cool to see, different representations and like people that are like really mainstream, that are queer, that are, you know, non-gender conformative necessarily, and all of that is like sick, and it's the future, and it's like, yeah, like let's be fluid and be proud of our identity and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in particular, like the rap world has always been very male dominated.
Mm.
So it's cool to see a woman in being really valued and like really like,
In
you
a
know,
different way too, because I feel like the female rappers that have like broken through are like really, they're, you know, they're twerking a lot and stuff, like Cardi B and et cetera, et
Nicki
cetera. Nicki
Minaj,
Minaj, right.
yes, Megan Thee Stallion,
Right.
yes. And I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a totally different thing. They're all black. They're all like, I would say like super curvaceous naturally or augmented.
Right.
And yes, are very much leaning into that kind of like that female sexual power. And so it's interesting for a woman to be leaning into her mask sexual power in the way that she is. And she's also like petite. She's like so small. She's just like a small girl, like, and yeah, but you can just tell she's very much just like an artist through and through, and just the way that her mind works. And it sounds really interesting because from one of the interviews that I was listening to, her entire creative team are her like friends. And so it's kind of evolved where like her whole crew is just, everyone, you know, whatever little skill set these different people had that were already kind of like in her world, have kind of grown into that together. And it sounds really amazing to do that.
How old is she? Is she young?
She's 28. Yeah, she's pretty young, but not like
not
super
young.
duper young.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to some of the music and like do a deep
start
dive.
Start with the Gap music video. It's
Absolutely.
very cat's eye coded. It's like this. There's a kind of the K-pop vibe recently of these like choreographed dances that are really. They are eye-catching. They're very fun to watch. And this one is very much like the monochrome outfits. Like they're all like in the opening scene, they're all wearing like the gray sweatsuit. And then another one, all the black sweatsuit. And the choreography is amazing. The cinematography is amazing. And then of course, once you do that, I also recommend like checking out some of the other content that they've made, that Gap has made.
Yeah.
Because in particular, I love the jungle one that they did.
Yeah, that one's really good.
And I also love jungle, just in general. And like, I love that. I've loved their music videos, and yeah, I love that music videos, while maybe some might think is like a dying art, is still like there's an undercurrent that is like still there.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It kind of feels like Gap is filling this void of music videos and like kind of, or like appropriating in a good way the art form of music videos for advertising.
Totally.
Which is great, because like, let's keep it alive. Like, music videos are the sickest thing, and it's kind of like,
they can be the sickest thing, or they can be the most tragic like thing.
True. But like, what a fun little like art form that unfortunately like I don't feel like I consume nearly enough or as much as I used to. Like, music videos were a huge part of our childhood and our youth, like pop-up music videos on VH1, like music videos like what TRL?
Yeah.
We watched TRL every single day after school, and like they're just repeating like the top 10 music videos, and now I can't tell you the last music video I saw. It was probably a Gap ad. Like so like, more power to Gap, honestly, because let's keep that music or let's keep that art form alive.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think from a marketing standpoint, it's genius. And you can see it. And they've also been doing a bunch of behind the scenes content. So there was a video for the jungle one, behind the scenes of shooting that. And you get to see the choreographers, you get to see the dancers all come together. You get to see the studio in which they're, you know, erecting whatever kind of set that they're doing. And all of that peripheral stuff is really like just a lens into the artistry, a lens into the brand even more. And has me on the edge of my seat. I'm ready for more.
We love that. Hell
We
yeah.
love to see it.
Hell yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's what has been sparking for me. What about for you?
This week, I've done a deep dive on prediction markets.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hard pivot.
Big time.
Just crazy, dude. Um, I can do a brief overview for those of y'all listening. Y'all might know what they are, but essentially, in the past 5 years, um, these companies have emerged that essentially allow you to bet on anything and everything all of the time. Um, Legally, there was a moment where in the US the government tried to crack down on them and regulate them, and now our current administration is quite favorable to to these um to these prediction market companies, and they're guns ablazing going for it. Like, it is crazy. Like, at any given time on Polymarket, there's like 10,000 things you can bet on. And
Yeah.
they range from, a lot of it is, I mean, it could be anything, but like there's politics. Obviously sports betting is huge. But then there's like niche things like pop culture, like who's going to be Taylor Swift's, bridesmaids, or when is
Yeah.
this person going to be pregnant, or how many times will this public figure say this word. To me, the implications are vast. I think it's a fascinating use of data and collection of data, use of the internet. It's also just kind of crazy because our society has shifted so hard. Like, being a sports bookie, being like, gambling at a casino is like, there's, people served time for those back in the day, like being, gambling. Still, casinos are not like legal in all places in our country. But now sports betting is widely available. It's not 100% legal, but these prediction market sites are fully legal in all 50 states, and you can
Yeah.
do sports betting. You can bet on anything, and I'm just like kind of blown away by it because it was under the radar for me. At least it wasn't on my radar of something that I knew about.
So who are the two? There's like a couple big companies that
Polymarket
are.
and Kalshi, I
And
think it's
then what
called.
is the difference between that and like DraftKings?
Just DraftKings is all sports, and these other
Okay.
ones,
So like there's also, so then there's maybe like, just to draw a little more distinction for ourselves and for the audience, like they have like the broader prediction markets where it could be like any topic under the sun, like you were talking about politics, sports, like celebrities, pop culture kind of related stuff. Could be like Oscars, or like who's gonna win the best actor for
Yeah.
Oscars, whatever. And then you have like these other companies that are kind of running in parallel. So in theory, there's like a little bit of overlap.
The
just from
overlap is the
sports.
sports, yeah, like DraftKings and
And then there's
Sportsbook and stuff like that.
yeah. Because then I remember a few years ago that there was this. I mean, you were mentioning that maybe like 5 years ago these companies started emerging, but my understanding is that they've kind of been like waiting in the like on the sidelines, so to speak, like doing a lot of lobbying and essentially advocating for them to be able to legally run these businesses. And then once they were all like pounced. So I'm curious, like how long ago actually like all these people have been like creating these ideas, and what the kind of like back end of that has been like, and how much I don't know, advocacy, lobbying power went into making this possible. Because I don't think it's not on accident, right? Like I think that there's obviously like gotta be some sort of correlation there. And yeah, it's very troubling to me because it's just yet another piece of this very, very, very complicated puzzle of like how our society is shifting in ways that are really detrimental to like people's mental health. And like the kind of like there's the addictive nature of keeping people on their phones, and the addictive nature of gamifying like a lot of aspects of life, and gamifying trying to commodify life. So like the thing that's very alluring about these is like it's the marketing is as such that like gets people like hooked, and then you're like, oh, just bet a couple bucks here, or buy a few shares of this and buy a few shares of that and track it, and you're gonna get a 22% return. And it's very, very, very alluring. And then the whole piece is, at the end of the day, it's very addictive. It is a proven fact that it's addictive.
Of course.
And our government is woefully underprepared to regulate pretty much any modern day like thing that has emerged, including social media, has not been like properly regulated. AI is not going to be properly regulated. The writing is on the wall for that. And like this type of thing as well. And it's just so nuanced and complicated. And these companies come out like guns a-blazing, like you said, and they're raking the money in. And then therefore, because they can come out with such a bang and make so much money up front, then they maintain their power to be able to continue to lobby against any other future pushes to like regulate them.
Yeah. So I think what's interesting, at least my understanding of at least Polymarket, is that they're actually not taking commissions right now, but their valuation is like $10 billion, $9 billion or something.
Are they a publicly traded company?
So another crazy thing is that like they are now partnered with or have been purchased by or something Wall Street itself. Like, it's just crazy. Like, it's interesting because the way that like these companies frame what they do and talk about what they do is investing versus betting, gambling.
Sure.
And I guess you could make that argument in some ways because you're maybe making a more educated guess because you can do research. But like insider trading is, they're not regulating for it, and it could be rampant. Like if you are one of Taylor Swift's bridesmaids, for example,
Yeah.
you can bet on yourself and you already know the outcome of that. Or a lot of the times they're about public figures. If X person who has a lot of power says this word during a press conference, there's a huge payout, and that person can go ahead and just bet on themselves.
I mean, or I know that there's stuff even like related to, for example, like the people bet on like what are the earnings going to be for some major publicly traded company, and every employee. So that if they're talking about a company like Google, we have like 30,000 some odd employees who like probably have at least some percentage of them have all or some of the information about that and could bet. So we're also like, it's not just like a one-off individual person. It's like the potential for that type of collusion and insider trading is really, really intense. And it's also like, it's how do you like, there's no transparency because probably it's not happening of like how the questions are being chosen that people can make these,
oh, totally.
predictions on.
Right.
Like is there any filter that those are going through? Like what is the boundary of that? And
totally.
Oof.
Yeah. Insane. It's insane. And it's, like you said, it's gamified, and it's a great way to continue to try to separate individuals from their capital. You know, like it's crazy. But I think it's also very interesting. It's also interesting the way that it's collecting data. The way that, you can put a poll out there and see what public opinion thinks who is going to be Iceland's next president, who is going to, when is this country going to invade this country? A lot of times too, I think the interview that I watched talked about some problematic or distasteful betting that can happen around wars, obviously distasteful. There was a poll or a question or whatever that they were asking about like how many acres would burn in the LA wildfires.
Yeah.
So like distasteful, but also like, are you incentivizing someone to go like to, they're like, I bought 20,000 shares of this. Like, I'm going to go try to burn more, or like, like that was a point that the interviewer brought up. But yeah, it's crazy.
Of all the places to like try to earn money or to try to, and to want to like spend your money, it's wild. And at the end of the day, it's really just because that there's this, I think similar to like a little bit of the evolution of like crypto, is that there's a lot of this notion of like get rich fast. Yeah. And that's the messaging. And same thing with the sports betting. And I know in particular, I'm not certain within the realm of like the prediction markets, but I know that within like the context of sports betting that most of the marketing power is being targeted at like young men. And that's most of their users. And that's also, there's been a lot of statistics around the kind of like loneliness epidemic. And those are the same people that are suffering from that are the people who are being targeted for these things and losing the money. Like, it's just very, I don't know, I could see I feel like a big snowball effect happening for young men, right? Like there's a lot of things working against them. The recipe that worked for our parents' generation is not working for them. And just being like a man in society is no longer just enough. You are going to have to do a lot more, and then the earning potential is less, and it's like, oh, even if you do have a solid job, it might still not be enough to afford to buy the house or afford the lifestyle that you saw provided for you when you grew up. And then on top of that, you have like just the complexity of the way modern dating is working. And then you have the layer of like, being targeted to spend the like money that isn't getting you as far in one way on predicting some random thing with some fake promise that you're going to become rich. And it's just, that's a lot going against folks, just the average folks.
Your average folk, ain't easy. Yeah. Great for you if you have power in society because you are privy to this information that like, I truly think you could be making very educated bets. Of course, you can do your research. And I saw interviews with a guy who's like kind of made this his career in the same way that day traders are trading stock markets or stockbrokers or, and you can do as much research, but like still it is at the end of the day, not a guarantee unless you fully know. So yeah, it's very telling of where we're at, like as humans.
It really
I think
is.
it's
well,
nuts,
last
bro.
week you were talking, you were musing on the manosphere because you watched the documentary Inside the Manosphere, and I think it's very funny that maybe led you to this now as a topic that's of interest, because I do think that there's likely like overlap in those worlds. In particular, I could imagine some like manosphere influencer making a bunch of videos of like, this is how to get rich doing prediction markets and trying to sell some course to his audience of that exact thing. And
dude, so true. So true.
So could be what's happening. I don't know.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. I don't doubt it either. Deep breaths. We take deep breaths now and we move on to something lighter and funnier, maybe. We'll bring some levity into it. What have you been inspired by this week? I think that can pivot us into some lighter fare.
I love that. My inspiration for the week is a photographer who I've been inspired by for a very long time. His name is Sam, and I hope I don't mess up his last name, Sam Youkilis.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Oh my gosh. His work is stunning. He travels the world and photographs everyday moments, all with his iPhone, which I think is like the most interesting thing. He's just captures all of these, like, just, I don't know, like in a world where sometimes like, the internet is vast and there's a lot of like sometimes bad news, rage bait, like a lot of things. Like, I don't know, I find like his content online, his, Instagram feed, his stories on Instagram, like just bring me so much solace. And also like what a dream lifestyle like he lives. It's so nice. He's always, just in beautiful places, meeting real people, capturing real moments, celebrating humanity in a really beautiful way, celebrating nature, society, food. And I just think he has a really beautiful eye for composition. I have a book by him, actually.
Oh, do you?
A picture book that was made of some of his work, and it's like it's all like in the format, obviously, of like the iPhone pictures.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I got that because I'm like just such a big fan. But yeah, I just love his work. And
I mean, I would describe like the vibe that you're talking about, which is how I feel about his photos. Or it's the feeling you get when you look at his photos is like the taste of like a summer ripe tomato, or like the feeling when you wake up in the morning and you open a patio door and it's like just a light breeze and like the perfect amount of sunshine like that hits your face, and like it's very like glowy. The vibe of that is those little nuggets of life that give you hope to like keep going.
Right. 100%.
Do you know anything about him, like, as a person?
I don't really. I think
Huh.
he doesn't seem, I mean, I just follow him on Instagram. He seems like relatively like he doesn't share a ton of himself. He'll definitely share some photographs of himself, but other than that, it's just like he's an artist who I think mostly speaks through his work, if that makes sense. Like
For sure.
he's not going on lives and like talking directly to the
Yeah.
camera, and he just like he shares what he sees through his camera in kind of a traditional way, but a new way too, you know, because he's embraced short form video content. A lot of
Right.
the times instead of photographs, he's like taking a video just of a scene passing. Um so yeah, I don't know like his story. I think he lives in Italy. That's about all I know.
Interesting. I'd be curious too, like, since you mentioned that he, photographs everything on his iPhone, if he also is editing on his iPhone or if he is utilizing other software on a computer and stuff to do the editing.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And also my understanding is he has like 5, 10 iPhones.
I mean, yeah,
Because you like I've run into this problem too of running out of space on your iPhone and like,
sure.
you know, so
But also there's maybe benefits to, I mean, I'm no technology savant or whatever, but perhaps that there's different benefits to different versions of the iPhone.
right, totally. And I think the sick thing about the iPhone as a camera, as a photograph, as a tool, like a primary tool for a photographer, is how small it is, right? And how like
So true.
you
And it's always
can
with you.
it's always with you, and in some ways maybe your subjects are less like, whoa, I got a big camera on my face versus just like all of us are all just like do all the time taking pictures with our phone, like it's very normalized,
More socially acceptable for
more
sure.
socially acceptable at this time in history. So like maybe he's able to get like these more intimate moments where he gets like a couple making out on the beach that don't even notice that he's taking an iPhone video, or you know, a couple
Right.
holding hands, or someone sleeping in their cab, or all of those things. It's kind of interesting to think about how the photographic tool might impact the work.
Yeah, very true. I mean, they say, I think there's some like saying for photographers, like the best camera is the one that you have with you.
Yeah, totally. And it
Otherwise, you're not gonna get anything.
right. And like this idea that it really is about like I think photographers kind of hate being, or like my understanding is they kind of hate being asked like what camera is it? It's like it's not about the camera. It's about my vision. It's about the photographer, because
Yeah,
I can take whatever tool it is and it's really about like me showing you what I want to show you regardless of the tool, you know?
10,000%.
So yeah, that's my inspo, bringing me joy. What are you inspired by this week?
I I kind of have like an obsession with Cillian Murphy,
Mm-hmm.
and ironically, I haven't dedicated the time yet to watch the new Peaky Blinders movie, the feature film that is kind of, I think, intended to wrap up the series and the kind of story of Thomas Shelby that Cillian plays. But I stumbled upon some interviews of him, which led me to learning that he operates a radio show on the BBC.
Oh.
Which I don't know. I think he's similar to Sam, the photographer we were just talking about, in the sense that he speaks through his art.
Uh-huh.
And I think that there's been some criticism, or just like, I don't know, it's not like always so negative, but people are just like, he's so shy and he doesn't like to do the press junket, and
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, he's just a man of his art. Like, that's how I see him. And I
Right.
think it's so cool to see that he has this other outlet now that people can kind of like connect with and learn about him through him sharing the music that he's inspired by, that he loves. And I
Oh,
love
that's
I
so
love
cool.
that. Yeah, I just like love the idea, like, because artists are so multifaceted, and sometimes I don't know, I think as an audience sometimes you have a thirst to like want to find out more about these people, and sometimes just getting access to like, well, what are they inspired by, it gives
Uh-huh.
you those nuggets. So for any of you who might feel that about Cillian Murphy, there's more nuggets out there for you to go and check out.
I love that. I love when someone's like, I'm just gonna let like the work speak for itself, and I am a vessel, kind of like that. Seems like that's his point of view as an actor, is like I can. And like I watched an interview with him recently on Sunday morning. I love Sunday morning. that he was talking about how it's almost easier for him to play all these characters if you don't know him super well.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, that's so, so Killian?
Cillian.
Killian. That's so
His
Killian. Like,
nickname is Kill. I
okay.
love that. I love that. I don't know why. I
That's
feel
so
like
Kill. And he's like that, like maintaining a little bit of mystery, anonymity, keeping myself a bit private. He feels like that allows him to step into characters and roles and really like let folks be lost in that character. So
yeah.
I think there's a valid argument for that. And it's kind of I think it's kind of nice to see someone who's a public figure not succumb to like having to open up their life to the ton, as they say on Bridgerton.
I actually don't know who was interviewing him, but there was this person was like, "So how has your life changed since you like won an Oscar?" He goes, "It hasn't." And I was like, that's so awesome that he's just like, I am the person that I am. And he's like, yeah, maybe I've gotten some more offers. But other than that, I like live my very peaceful life. And I that's what also I love about, in particular, the fact that it's a radio show, because I don't know, I envision him to be a person that consumes a lot of art, a person that's constantly reading, constantly learning, a person that's constantly listening to things. And he lives in Ireland. I like in a place I feel like that's pretty like chill. So I feel like he's just, I don't know, there's an energy that I like foresee around that. So I really want to listen to some of those radio shows and start to feel his vibe more.
Yeah, I love that.
Get in that state of mind. I could use a little bit of that.
That sounds like a fabulous vibe.
Couldn't be more opposite, maybe, of the New York City vibe.
Right.
At least the path of least resistance, New York City vibe. There's every type of vibe here, but yeah, that's what I've been a little inspired by this week.
I love
just
that.
him, and I'll have to report back when I watch the movie.
Yes, it's on my list as
Immortal
well.
Man. Yes. Well, I think we can turn it to our final nuggets of the episode, where we leave our audience with some recommendations of things to check out. Obviously, everything we talk about, I hope, might bring inspire folks to go out and do a little reconnaissance of them for themselves. But in particular, at the end, we'll leave you each with one from each of us. So I'll pass it to you.
All right. Well, my reco is actually something you recommended to me. So we pay it forward. And this is something you recommended to me many moons ago. It feels like I can't quite pinpoint when it was, but
tell me, and then maybe I can help.
I think you'll be excited. It is a YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh.
So Paloma recommended this amazing YouTube channel called Sailing La Vagabonde to me years ago. And we've both been, especially her, we've both been very, very into it. It's a couple who has sailed for 11 years now, something, around the world, multiple different vessels. They've started to have a family, and I'm just like endlessly inspired by their journey. Like there's so many things to be inspired by. They've taken their content to like an insane level. Like they have this amazing,
it's so true. It's
cinematic, like insane, like full length, like something you watch.
They make feature films. Like
yeah.
Truly, that is what they're doing at this point on their YouTube channel. It's unbelievable.
100%. And then the lifestyle is like pretty sick and inspiring. So
yeah. I'll add on, just because I obviously am obsessed with them as well. I can actually pinpoint when I stumbled upon them, but I remember I was working remote for like 2 months, and during that time I went to Mexico City, and you came to visit me, and that's when we were watching a ton of their episodes in our Airbnb there. And so yeah, I've probably been watching their stuff for the last maybe like 5 or so years, and they're just really like living a unique lifestyle. So most of the content that I love to watch, movies and other, like even the people who I follow on like social media, I love to get a lens into a world that otherwise I would know nothing about. And I think that Riley and Elena have opened up a world for me that's so many worlds, like the world of what it means to sail, the world of what it
Yeah.
means to sail across the world, the world of spearfishing and living off the land. And it's so cool. They're also Australian, and they're also kind of badass and hot. And I love them.
And this like genuinely like, yeah, there's what you might call like a comfort creator. I have definitely people that I have like parasocial relationships with that I consider like comfort creators, where you watch them and it makes you feel comforted and you feel like, and it's, you know, you get to know them and you can watch endless, you know, hours and feel like you really know them. And they just seem like genuinely such good people who
Totally.
really are thoughtful. And yeah, like so, ugh, it's very sick what they've accomplished, both creatively and then like, yeah, the physical nature of what they do.
Yeah.
Diving and overcoming a lot of challenges with, it's not an easy life. Like, it does seem really like so sick, but they show all sides of it, and I appreciate like the transparency and like the learning from it too, of how challenging it is and all of the things you have to do to sail around the world and to continue to do that for a long time, and then to have a family and do that, and to navigate all of those challenges. So it's a big moment for them right now because they're transitioning from being
I
on
know.
they've been sailing for 11 years straight, and now they're kind of like ready for a pivot, and they're thinking about what's next. They're pretty unclear on like exactly what it's going to look like, but they're talking about maybe like moving to land, moving to life on land,
Which is
for
a
a
huge
bit.
change for people who have had the freedom of sailing around for all that time, and essentially living on a floating house that they move
Totally.
everywhere with them, and everything that comes with it, and really going to like extremely remote parts of the world that your average person will never even get close to.
Completely. So highly recommend that YouTube channel.
Yeah, good call.
Sailing La Vagabonde.
Second that. Big time. In a major way. My recommendation of the week is a podcast and potentially a book. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I listened to Jay Shetty interview Michael Pollan this week. Jay Shetty, he on his podcast, I can't remember. I think it's called On Purpose. I think it's what it's called. And he interviews Michael Pollan because Michael Pollan just published a new book called A World Appears, A Journey into Consciousness. And so, yeah, Michael Pollan, he's an author that's been on my radar for a really long time because I worked in like the food policy space for many years. And I think probably when I was like in college, like that was like around the time that
I feel like it's like
the Omnivore's Dilemma like came out. And that was really part of the discourse of our food system, and this really very pertinent piece of literature that came out and really like, I think, paved the way for a lot of the movement towards whole foods and just a deeper understanding of the American food system. And so, yeah, he's done a lot of writing on food because that came kind of I don't know what you would call it, like a issue area that he had a lot of expertise in, and then has, I think, evolved a little bit since then. In this particular book, he went down a whole journey of really thinking about like human consciousness. And I think right before that, he did a book about I don't know if it was about like hallucinogenics or psilocybin, or kind of just like which is a little bit adjacent to the consciousness. So those experiences in writing that book kind of like in some ways gave him a foundation on which to build to write this book. And yeah, he's just incredibly well spoken and very smart, and has clearly done so much reading and research and interviews to tackle some of these really interesting topics. So if you're not a big reader, or if you don't want to take on reading a big book about the consciousness, if nothing else, listen to this 1-hour interview. I think it's particularly interesting because Jay Shetty is a very spiritual person, and he was a monk for I think maybe like 3 years in his youth, and he still very much has a lot of like spirituality and meditation he maintains a lot of that in his practice, in his day-to-day life, and it's really part of who he is. And so I think that there is a beauty in that kind of pairing. Like, I really like when the kind of like, I would call them like the bigger known podcasters are interviewing people, that there is like a really strong match between the kind of concept in which they're talking about. Like, there's a reason that you're on this podcast and being interviewed by this person that you can really like see eye to eye in that way. So for that reason, I found it to be very compelling.
Well, I will definitely.
It's one of
check
those
that
things
out.
actually could be worth a re-listen, because it was that, there's a lot of content there.
It's heady, I'm sure.
Big time.
Michael Pollan is heady for sure.
Yeah. If you need some light entertainment, go watch Sailing La Vagabonde episodes. If you need something a little more,
Sink your teeth
a
into.
little academic, check out that.
Love that. I wish podcasts were around when we were in college, because that was not really a thing.
Yeah,
I probably learned a lot, and I feel like I learned so much from people talking on podcasts on the internet. So
I do too.
I love that.
Every day.
And it's so like consumable. It's so easy. I can like work and listen to the podcast. Maybe someone will work.
Well, your work, you can do that. Mine less so, but
yeah, no, not always. Sometimes I need focused jazz.
Focus Jazz, is that the playlist?
That's the playlist. Yeah, I found this playlist on Spotify, Focus Jazz, and it's really good for like background, like feel good, kind of like elevator, kind of like little, sometimes it has like little bossa nova kind of vibe, but like very, very soothing. I don't know. I do love like a little soothing jazz while I'm working.
Hilarious. Super random, but a little funny anecdote that I learned recently. Well, there was some like creator that lives in New York City that was like, there's basically the concept of elevator music is kind of like becoming a farce, because he's like, I've been in so many elevators, and all my friends that live in New York that live in buildings with elevators, they're like, there's no music, and it's the most awkward social encounter where you're like in a super confined space with people. And basically the whole thing, he was like, I'm hunting for some elevators in New York City that have music.
Bring back elevator music. Like, well, that's why it was there, to like fill that awkward, like, yes. Okay, New York City buildings, if you're listening, and buildings around the world, please fill the air with some focus jazz or
elevator jazz.
Jazz. Literally anything is better than silence. Like, true that. In that setting, I think, because it's so confined, because of the people, like,
yeah, just alleviates a little bit of pressure. So anyhow.
Well, it's been real, eh? Anything else?
It has. I think that's all for now. Thanks everyone for listening and joining in. We're really excited to continue bringing you these episodes every week. Please subscribe to follow along.
Absolutely. Have a great week, y'all. And we'll see you next time.